Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Khalil Doheny, and I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager from Digital Niche Agency. Today, I have Mike Elson, CEO and founder of Voice Lessons. Mike, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well, Khalil. Thanks for having us.
Of course, and we'll kind of wait, for people to trickle in here. But this webinar is for you, the audience, for those who are, probably investors, potential investors, or just are fans of voice lessons. And this webinar is to get your questions answered, to get to know more about voice lessons, to know more about the current campaign that is happening on Start Engine. And yeah, Mike, where are you tuning in from? Kind of give a quick background of yourself before we get started here today.
Yeah, sure. So I'm in Los Angeles, outside the city in Rancho Cucamonga. We're tuning in today. I just want to say, first off, thanks to all of our investors so far on the Start Engine Reg CF campaign. Thank you, everyone who has invested. And for those of you, I know there's many of you who are watching our campaign, thanks for tuning in and watching this content. I hope today that we can cover some of the questions that have come in, cover some of the talking points on, what we're doing with this campaign and where the direction of the company and everything. So I welcome the questions, guys. If you have them, just drop them in the chat, and thank you for attending.
Awesome. And before we get started, can you give us a quick background of yourself, from your past and like how you got to where you're at today?
Sure. So I knew at a very young age, I want to say about like almost eighth grade, I was like, I'm going to do computers and music when I grow up. And, I got into a great school, University of Southern California, Fight On Trojans. I got the 2 degrees from USC, one in computer science and one in vocal performance. And, through that process, I actually played a lot of instruments: piano, guitar, saxophone, trumpet, lots of different things. I was a band and choir, but I always loved computers too. And, I wanted to have a good, income. And then the .com happened, and I happened to be working to put myself through college, and one thing led to the next. And I started a company when I was 22, dropped out of school for a couple of years, built that company up with a business partner. And by 33, we had an exit. We sold that company for $10 million. And, I didn't own a big chunk of it, but a small enough chunk to provide me the type of opportunity to bootstrap a business like voicelessons.com. And so with that, I wanted to really take the things that I had learned personally in my own voice journey, and some of the problems that I had, as well as just the opportunity that is provided, just with the internet, and computers and technology, to really connect people together and to, kind of provide my take and a better path for singers to learn how to sing at, more affordable rates without having to spend tens of thousands of dollars to learn how to sing. So, with that, I was able to finally combine the music and the computers together in voicelessons.com. And so, we started in 2016, about 6 years ago. And so we're now going on our 3rd version of the platform, and I'll explain more as we go. But that's originally what kind of brought me here. Myself, a singer, a chorister, I've done solos. I love to perform, love to sing, love to play music. When I'm not working, you'll find me on my piano, singing and playing and just making music. It's one of the best things you can do. I feel like whether it's a love or a passion or a hobby, your profession, your vocation, singing brings joy to many people, millions of people out there. So we're going to cover that today. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Awesome. And before we go into the presentation, I do want to throw out a quick disclaimer. We are going to leave some room at the end for some Q&A. I already know there's going to be some questions around the financials, around the projections, around the valuation, but unfortunately we can't cover those and answer those type of questions on this webinar today. If you do want to know that information, highly recommend to check out the Start Engine raise page. All that information is there. And if you do want to reach out to Mike personally, at the end, we'll add Mike's email to the chat here, and you can send him a message directly. Before we get started, I do want to toss in the Start Engine raise page. So if you do want to get more information, the link's right there for you. With that being said, Mike, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Let me start the slideshow and turn on the screen share. And yeah, there's a lot of red tape, everyone, with this whole process. So trust me, there's many things that I wish I could share that I simply cannot share because, we have to follow all of the compliance guidelines and everything. So again, just drop your question in. We'll do our best to help provide you all the answers, and do check out our Start Engine crowdfunding page, which has many, many, many answers on it already. So are you able to see my screen now? Okay, great. So I'm just going to make sure, let me hide this little guy, get that out of the way. Okay, so our mission at voicelessons.com. Now, I know many people, you see our crowdfunding page, it just says Voice Lessons. Well, that's because we're Voice Lessons Inc. But we own the domain name voicelessons.com and some other interesting names. And our mission is to cultivate the love of singing. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate. I love singing. And so we built our digital platform to connect teachers and students with a suite of tools that we've developed for vocal training. So I'm going to explain more about this as we go today. Let me make sure the mouse disconnected. Okay. So how do we get started? You might be wondering, like, how did they come up with this? And I just want to kind of give you this quick diagram. This is a diagram I've shared, and if you've seen it before, let me explain it. If you're looking at the page, essentially, if you've never had a voice lesson, okay, first off, you go to your voice coach, and your voice coach, traditionally in the offline world, will play the piano and you'll sing with them, right? That's kind of what you might expect. And so in the online world, obviously, you're not in the same room. You're miles away, tens of thousands of miles away, or in some cases, we have coaches teaching on the other side of the world. So now you're not in the same room and you got this piano. So what we've done is we said, the best thing to do is digitize that piano, move to a digital keyboard. And so step number one, you've got that digital keyboard. Now, if you try and transduce that audio, which basically is a fancy term for record it with a microphone, and then send it over the internet, that's step 3. You play it out of speaker, step 4. Step 5, the singer hears it. Step 6, they then sing with it. It goes back to their microphone. Then it goes back over the internet and then back out another speaker. The teacher hears it, and that whole loop. Let me move our picture down here. That whole loop, and again, this is more like a generalization. So it does depend on the proximity and the location between the teacher and the singer. But in some cases, it can take up to a second. And there's a lot of people will know this. There's an audio lag, and many people tried to do this years and years ago, prior to the surge with the pandemic and things like that. But they would give up because it's really hard to teach, like many teachers teach, online. So what we came up with is a pretty novel solution for this, using our technology. We call it Vocal Loop technology, and we've got some information on that. If you want to know more, please ask. But we've been granted 3 patents on this novel solution so far. We have a 4th pending patent I'll get into later. But what this technology does is it runs on the teacher's a desktop, laptop, computer. It connects through a wire, typically a MIDI cable, to the keyboard, and it sends that information over the internet. And in doing so, we're kind of cutting out step number 2. You'll notice on this diagram it's kind of grayed out. And so when you cut that out and you start to do a little bit of the magic with MIDI signals, that allows us to develop a solution that the voice teacher can literally remote control a piano, if you will, on the other side of the internet, and create these exercise patterns that singers commonly, when they're trained, will sing to as they do their scales and routines to start to, develop and coordinate their singing skills. So in doing this, apologize, let me put this on. Do not disturb. Okay. So in doing that approach, essentially, you wind up with near real time, or almost in some cases, no lag time, because they're controlling it and sending these signals to move the vocal key changes, transitions, the start key, the end key, the tempo in real time for that singer. Now, a lot of people have asked, so I'm just going to get this one out of the way right at the beginning here. And that is, let me go back. what's your traction like? What have you done? And I just want to say, we started with one of the more difficult parts of the problems to solve, and we took it into a one-on-one solution. So here's our sales. This is what we've done to date. It's on the crowdfunding page as well, but within 3 years, we've increased our sales more than 19x. And I don't have the financials for last year. We're on the fiscal year, so year-end books have not closed yet. But we are working on those, and we will be posting our update. But the numbers keep going up. So I'm very excited for that. And now's the time I realized, hey, the world's changed a little bit. And I'll get into some more of the changes and how they've impacted us. But now's the time for us to really grow our solution. And our business is in a good spot to grow and accelerate our growth through taking on investors like yourself. So please stay tuned, keep watching. Here's a slide that goes over our status. Our current status, as I mentioned, we started in 2016, founded in 2016. We took 2 years. We took our time to build that first version of the product. And in doing so, we got out of the building. I did well over 300 customer development interviews, meeting many of these teachers out there. And I just want to say, if you did a interview with me or any of that, thank you. Thank you for taking the time and giving me feedback, because it's really, I love to meet voice teachers. I love to talk with the voice teachers and understand how can we help them grow their studios using the online medium. And it was from those interviews that led to the development of our version 2 product. And we launched that around July 2019. And we started to scale and grow and get more teachers to use the platform. And then we first launched our national campaign with NATS back in early 2020, which was timed with another sudden surge of demand. So we wound up with a large number of users almost instantly, but within weeks. And our system was just kind of in more the minimum viable product stage. We were not expecting that level of load. And so with that uptick in demand, we took a second, we said, hey, how can we best use this to help accelerate our growth? Because someday, they'll come up with solutions and cure for the virus, if you will, and COVID and everything. So we took all this learning, and in 2021, you'll notice we started doing another level of research and development. And through that, we discovered that, hey, scaling one-on-one lessons, like there's definitely a huge need to that. And I'm going to talk about the market opportunity coming up. But there's a much bigger opportunity over here that we can scale our startup up even faster by picking a bigger, better model to scale up and grow. So through that, we kept testing, and I'll cover kind of those tests and what we learned. But by 2022, we said, hey, now let's resume our scaling. And what we're doing with that now, I'm so excited to share with you the product roadmap, but we are now expanding with a new mobile app, our student teacher matching system. And this is a service we call the Lead Singer service that essentially is a pay-per lead. We have subscription models, but it's around matching singers with teachers so that teachers can grow their studio. And in doing so, that grows our platform. So we're resuming scaling on the teacher side of the market. And as we look forward into next year in Q1 2023, we're super excited. We'll have our group system that I'm going to cover here. That'll be in the general market. And we also have a sneak peek at the end. So stay to the end, and we'll show you a little bit of our consumerized, gamified learn to sing app that we call Vocali. So here's a brief overview. I tried to put together our suite. So if you don't understand what we do, we started with that first quadrant in the top left. That's the solo lessons. And that was initially sold B2B. That's business to business, to instructors, to studio owners, private studio owners. We had some educational, universities and things like that have signed up for that, but largely it was for solo lessons, one-on-one lessons, because we're focused on, hey, let's get it done right on the private level, on the one-on-one level, and let's scale it from there. So our next step over, if you just look over to the right, the green one, matching, that's where we're starting to expand into the B2C plus B2B. Now, what I mean by that is matching. That's where we're taking consumers. We're actually running advertisement. we're finding singers. They're coming in through our blog, our content marketing, advertising, things like that to grow our system. And so in doing so, when we match a singer and a teacher and make a good fit, well, they stay with that teacher and they study in some cases for years. And then that grows the teacher's studio. So we've grown hundreds of studios, I want to say, to where some have come in with literally never teaching online to they have 40 students online and their entire income is being made through voicelessons.com. Now, if you scroll down, the bottom hemisphere of this pie chart is what's coming up. So we've got our group system that's coming up next Q4. We have a closed beta that will be running. So if you are interested in groups, please let me know. I'll share some stats about how many teachers are interested in groups, but it's a pretty popular opportunity. And then our path system. This is something that, we didn't really plan on doing, but it just kind of came up over the years as our product developed, is that some singers need some just base level information, right? And you've seen other companies do digital products. So we created some courses and hundreds and hundreds of instructors out there also created courses. So we went, hey, maybe let's make it so instructors can upload their courses and digitize, make some money from the self-guided learning system we call our path system. So if you are interested, you can go into the app today and raise your hand and let us know if you have a course and you're interested in getting it listed within our app. So here's the roadmap for the next couple quarters. As I mentioned, in Q3, actually, I'm very excited. By 10/1, we're in the final stages of testing our new mobile matching apps. We've released the instructor one, and I'll tell you about how we're kind of acquiring instructors to get into the app. But that's finishing this quarter. Next quarter, we're expanding to the group system with our closed beta. It's invite only. So instructors that have been either using our system for a while or have a really interesting use case around their groups, have a big following, things like that, we are starting to take instructors' interest for our group system. And then we expect by Q1 next year that our group platform will be generally available in the market. Now, here is a little glimpse. It's going fast, but if you want to know more, I can drop you a link with some more screenshots. I just could not fit all the screenshots to the 40-some screens that are in the new mobile app. Now, this mobile app, we took a lot of cues. We like to follow some of the popular trendy apps, startups, and things like that. I won't mention some of the names that Match and Tinder and Bumble and Hinge. There's just so many dating apps where we went, well, how are these dating apps doing it? And so let's come up with a very, cohesive, simple, easy to use, easy to understand for the average consumer to make it very simple to find a great, amazing instructor. And then they'll obviously come into our platform. They don't have to, but we make it easy for them to get onboarded and get set up. So in this app, both the instructor and the singer can set up some matching criteria. I cannot tell you how many instructors have told me over the years, like, oh, well, whenever I do something online, I just get a lot of students that aren't exactly like I'm looking for. And then we hear from singers telling us, well, hey, man, I just keep looking for a coach, but I can't find the exact coach I want. I want a coach that, is in a certain area or has a certain specialty or can teach me how to sing, rock music or musical theater because I'm auditioning for Broadway or my high school musical or whatever the thing is. So we took all that feedback, and during, I would say, 2020, 2021, during that time we were doing some of our R&D, we actually ran a small little matching system, and we took that feedback. We matched over 1,200 singers and instructors, and we got feedback from both the singers and the instructors, and that product feedback went right into this matching app. Sorry, I'm gonna move this down. So one of the things after you match with somebody, obviously you got the basic features you would expect, like chatting. So you can chat with the instructor, you can send them a video, if that's part of the onboarding process to check out, hey, where are you? What's going on with your voice? Like send me a sample. You can do that right through the app. So we made it super convenient. to basically get new students going, and so coaches could help them. And the other thing that we did in this, that I love the app stores. I love Google. I love Apple just as much as everyone. But they always charge startups. Sometimes it's unfair, and I think there's a class action suit. But in any case, we're moving our purchase for this matching line of business into in-app purchases, because we recognize there's just a lot of friction. There's consumers that are out there that want to get started, but they don't exactly know how to do it. So we did it at a price point and during unlocking a new channel that's super exciting, both for our business and our investors that have already invested, because this is really going to support the growth demands for the business. There's one more slide. I'm going to talk about matching here, but a little bit in setting up this app. It's an all new mobile app. We're on version 3. So we said, hey, we've kind of learned from version 1, version 2. What do we do right? What do we do wrong? And so this is a new build from the ground up with the new technology. It's built on a scalable architecture. We know we're using some of the best of the breed technologies out there, and it's built to scale, and not to scale to just 10,000 people. This one's built to scale to millions of consumers, because we're designing it to expand into the consumer market. We've also designed this. We've included I-18N and internationalization in this product, because we're not just content with just helping service the United States or English-speaking countries around the world. We plan to translate and to move into other geographies and create connections, because we've got instructors, like I said, they're teaching from Boston to China. They're teaching from Los Angeles to Norway. We have teachers that are actually moving and continuing to make their income. They're moving to Portugal. They're moving to other continents. So we've took all this into consideration. We said, hey, let's make sure we can translate this. We've also designed it for offline data. And we will be supporting offline matching for the instructors that are still a little reluctant or don't want to teach 100% online. Maybe they just want to teach a little bit online, but there's a lot of people that are still going to be downloading the app, looking for instructors, and some of those are going to want some local instruction. So how are we getting instructors? How are we handling, kind of our pivot into a marketplace? You might be wondering. So we're very grateful and feel tremendously blessed with some amazing connections and relationships that we've developed and fostered throughout the years, going to many trade shows. And one of those is with NATS. Now, if you wonder, what is NATS? NATS is the National Association of Teachers of Singing. This is one of the largest associations in the world, with over 6,000 members strong and growing. And with our partnership, we were able to construct a mutually beneficial relationship, such that NATS is actually helping us help their instructors. And again, it's optional. They don't have to, but we mailed a letter with NATS to all of their instructors to invite them and tell them about what we're doing and how we're helping them grow. And many, many instructors were hit very, very hard during the pandemic. I mean, we heard stories countless times. People shut down, people closed, some made the leap to teach online, but this industry and the music industry, and specifically singing, because, and I won't get into everything because it's painful for many people that were impacted, but when you sing, you open your mouth. And when you open your mouth, you're singing with lungs and pressure, and you're spewing. I don't know, spewing, but you are pushing, okay, aerosols and tiny little, streams of air. And so it's one of the most contagious things. And if you don't believe me, research, there's many choirs that would rehearse during the pandemic. Anyways, our point is people are recovering. And I'll summarize this and move on, but we're in a position to help a lot of people. And we want to help as many instructors as we can build back together, build back stronger. And for those who are looking and who want singers, we're looking for instructors that want to get connected to the singers in our next wave of marketing. So here's kind of an unexpected thing that just occurred as we started to scale our business. What we learned was much of the online market cannot afford to pay for traditional voice lesson fees. So we needed to find an entry-level price point for these millions of people who love to sing. And what I mean by that, I'm going to break it down for you. But we did a survey, and I would say at least 3,000 and some number, well over the statistically significant number required to understand, do we have good relevant data, told us that it was 66 point some percent, okay, 2/3 of the market has under $100 a month. Now, if you think about it, what does a voice lesson cost? I'll just break it down. The average voice teacher expects, because of their training and years of commitment, because it's a life path when you become a voice instructor, really, it's a career, they expect $60 an hour. So if you want weekly 1-hour lessons, you're looking at around $240 a month of just tuition to get into that studio and reserve your spot and keep, to attend regular lessons and make what most would consider traditional progress. Now, as I just said, 2/3 of the market who want to sing and who are interested in singing, they say they got under $100. So you kind of understand there's a gap. And that's where we went, hey, as we're scaling, we're seeing this gap. This gap is real. What are we going to do about it? How do we scale this business, scale our startup? So I'm going to come back to that point in a second, but first I'm going to talk about something that's super exciting, and I'm not allowed to talk about projections. So I'm going to point to some other companies that you're welcome to look these guys up, and you might have tried them. You might already have their apps. You might already know what they've done, but I'm just going to bring up some of their numbers, which I am allowed to talk about. So Musician, this is a popular gamified learn piano, guitar, ukulele in your phone. They've raised $32.8 million to date. Check on Crunchbase. They got over 20 million monthly active users. And the numbers reported are their annual recurring revenue, their ARR, is $50 million a year. So, you can just think about that, but that's a big number of users. And why I'm bringing that up is because most people that like to learn to play, an instrument like a piano or guitar, ukulele, also want to learn how to sing. So we kind of see that as a very nice adjacent opportunity to help service a large, million number size market. Now, here's another app. You might not have heard of Smule, but this is a very popular app on how to karaoke. And you can karaoke with your friends. You can go in there and learn some songs. And so this app is largely, these are all singers, okay? And this company has raised $176.5 million to date. Check the Crunchbase profile. They got over 53 million monthly active users. And I'm sure that number's gone up. This is from a number I pulled, and I can give you my sources, but if you are curious, let me know. That's just so many people, and that's international. So this is a huge market, millions and millions of people, and their reported revenue, okay, $100 million annual recurring revenue. So that gives you an idea. Again, I'm not going to tell you what we think we're going to do because I'm not allowed to, but I'm just going to let you think about that. It's a big market opportunity. Now, where do we see kind of our next several pivots? Group lessons, we feel like, as I mentioned, with some of the headwinds with the solo lessons, the product market fit, we believe we will have. Okay, it may increase by 9x. And why I would get 9x? Essentially, students' lesson fees can be way less, because now if they're studying with a group, there's a lot of benefits to studying with a group. And we have, surveyed again, we're very much, we like to run the numbers. We like to run experiments. We like to get out of the building and learn and test and research as we're taking the startup into the mass market. And what they told us, was, hey, under $100. So we said, hey, that means a coach can have 10, 15, our system supports 16 singers, okay? With $10 to $20 a group. And, we're going to let the instructors, kind of control the market rates. But let's just imagine the singers can now spend something that can get them into a group where they can learn some of this knowledge. And if you've never had a singing lesson, you're like, what's a singing lesson? Well, you can go, start solo. And I still agree that, if you really want private one-on-one instruction, if your heart is set on getting on Broadway, writing a gold, record, you're eventually going to graduate and move up the ladder to private lessons. But maybe you're a starving artist, maybe you got 3 jobs. I don't know. But I do know that group lessons are going to be fitting within your budget. And we've had many singers tell us, I think that's all I can afford. It's like, great, start there. And then as you get more into it, you'll understand, oh, this is why I need to invest more in my training and education so that I can move on up in this profession. So that's going to, in itself, by reducing these prices, we think at least have a 3x change to our product market fit. Now, on the teacher side, this number, it's not on that chart. Well, actually it is. It says, would you be interested in teaching group lessons? And how do we get that number? Again, when we get out of the building, we run surveys, we ask people questions. And so as we asked instructors, how many of you would want to teach group lessons to potentially increase your income? 71.4%. It's really tiny, but it's there. Okay. But it's almost 3/4 of them. That's a huge number that said, hey, I would love to make more money. And so here we see an opportunity to provide a service to fill a gap in the market, to give teachers the ability to make more money, to give students the ability to find a coach, start studying, make new friends, get in a group, learn some basic information, so you can go crush your next karaoke. So, it's a great opportunity, and we're super excited to bring this into the market. Now, here's our chart. These are kind of the graphs. I'm going to break it down. This is the group supersized opportunity. So again, this is just that point. I'm going to go a little faster on this one because I've kind of already said this. I'm restating it. But on the left, this is what we believe the one-on-one market is. It's on the left. Okay. You got about 1 million people in the serviceable, obtainable market that are really into private one-on-one lessons. We think there's closer to 32 million roughly that have studied or study singing lessons at some level. But really what we think we could obtain is at least 1 million as we scale that. But we want to scale faster. We want to service more people. We're not satisfied for ourselves or our investors. We want to help the most people we can. So if you look on the right, this is what we believe the group market is. So by pivoting to group lessons and expanding this into our service offering, we believe we'll be able to obtain close to 3 million singers with the number of coaches we can obtain to get on the platform and to learn how to sing through voicelessons.com. So it's a big pivot as we look to change the group. And for those of you who maybe went to business school or wonder, there's this diagram, we call it the business model canvas. This is our business model canvas, just showing we get out of the building, we do the homework, we understand where we're headed, and this pivots our value proposition. It also pivots our customer segment, and we believe this bottom line where this goes, again, I'm not going to give you a projection, I'm just going to say it does triple our target revenue models. Okay, bottom line is switching to group and expanding the group and making that kind of a big entry point into the mass market as we scale up is going to help us scale faster, bigger, better. So here's that last point on group, and then I'm going to go to a couple more talking points. Groups. Okay, this is the original diagram I went through. And so I can't give you all the magic. You're just going to have to wait and see. But we did file a 4th patent on this. Okay, we're waiting for the patents office. They got a little backlogged. Apparently, a lot of people filed patents when they were, at home over the last couple of years. So the patent office is slow right now, but we have a pending patent on this, and this expands upon our previous 3 patents and our original patent application predating our patent protection all the way back to 2016. So we believe we have the best patent attorney, of course. And so we got a pending patent on the way that covers our expansion into the group platform. So who's on the team? This is a snapshot of my team. We have many, many people, but these are some of the key people on the management that have helped the business get to this point. So myself, as I mentioned, I did start a company when I was very young, 22. I learned so much through that, and ProSites.com is still running. I'm still using some software I found that I wrote personally on a laptop on a kitchen table many moons ago, and we had a great exit on that company. Now we also have again been very blessed, and we're lucky. Actually, went to high school with Dr. Matt Edwards. Sorry, I forgot to put people's last names. So if you want to know who these are, I can't put links to everyone's bios or credentials. But Dr. Matt is just a tremendous professional. He was just internationally acclaimed as one of the top 25 voice coaches in the world. And so he's made some digital courses for us that is kind of going to serve us as some of this base foundational knowledge that we're going to make accessible at some price points for everyone to get started on their singing journey. With that, we've got John. John is a video producer. He's executive producer. He's shot some short films. He's qualified for some Oscar qualifying festivals, and just we got some really good footage and really good stuff to watch. So if you haven't bought the course, you do get that when you invest at some price point. I think that's in the perks, but I'm not going to talk about that now. Just know we want to try and give it to you for free, but we do have to charge something. We did invest in creating this content, but it's on the same level, the same quality, some same people that worked on, let's say, masterclass.com, for example. And so it's some really good content that really covers some great information, and it's going to fit well within our pass system. So if you're an instructor with course content, please, we want to invite you again to raise your hand, let us know, and we want to host your content within our pass system. And then I've got my right hand lady I call Laura. Laura is helping me doing so many things as we get this business off the ground. She's an opera singer, recitalist, producer. She's been a university instructor. She's got her own private studio. She really knows our customers and the types of problems we're solving. She uses the platform to teach her own students, and she's made courses. So really kind of understands everything that we're doing. And so really happy to have my team with me. Now, here's a sneak peek at the next version of the software that's coming. So as I mentioned, we are rebuilt our mobile app. We have a new web app coming in our next version. And so these are some screenshots, again, that depict pretty much what it's going to look like, but it's designed again from the ground up to scale with without the training wheels, let's call it, right? So in this version, we're making sure that we can really scale the business up to take this investment and put it to use. So lastly, I'm going to end with one more sneak peek, which this is a mass market consumer gamified learn to sing. There's a couple apps already out there, but you know, we always like to put our own take and spin on things. So we've got the Vocali brand, which is, you know, there's some notable other companies, Musicali, which then became TikTok. But, you know, we take point. We're kind of hip. We understand what's out there and what consumers are kind of into. And this is just a sample picture of what we intend on doing as we raise this money. Again, I can't tell you when this will be out, but just know we've got some really cool designs and plans and a great team that's collaborating with us to bring these ideas into the market. So I think that I got one more slide. Oh, there we go. That's it. So I'm going to pause for a second. And Khalil, I've been talking the whole time, not even sure if questions came in or anything like that. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for that wonderful presentation. You know, right now is the perfect time to get your questions answered. So if you do have a question, please leave them in the Q&A box below. We'll go through them, you know, right here in this little section we have. And I do want to remind everyone, for those who aren't currently on the webinar right now and, you know, want to watch it on a later time, don't worry. This webinar has been recording, and we will be posting a whole recap video on the Start Engine page through social media, through email, and we'll be also creating a blog around it. So there will be a recap video for those, you know, who did miss the webinar, and even for those who want to rewatch and relive this webinar. So yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and start with the questions. We do have some that came in. The first question from anonymous attendee is, what is the current state of your tech?
That's a great question. So we have some of our, we call it version 2, as I mentioned, and it's in the cloud. We host on one of the cloud providers that are out there. And then we also have some of our next version, which, has gone through, let's call it an evolution. I think, I'm a technologist, so I'm not going to get you into all the ones and zeros of everything. But we have a new version that's hosted partially in the new cloud and also on premise in 2 data centers. So we have some on premise, and some of that is we've done some, let's call it the capital expenditures, if you will, to fix our costs. And we've made some architectures and investments to control scaling our costs. Because if anyone has scaled their business in the cloud, you'll understand sometimes there's directly proportional scale. Sometimes it's, wow, this is expensive to scale. So in watching how our version 2 performed in the cloud, we took a lot of lessons from that, and we went, okay, let's do what we can to be variable costs. Let's do what we can to do fixed costs. But I would say we've got our system in the middle of a migration. And as I mentioned, we're releasing some new technology. Version 3 is coming out next month. And some of it straddles some more clouds and some on-premise equipment.
Awesome. You did mention some similar apps throughout your presentation. What stands voicelessons.com out from the rest?
Yeah, so this is where I'm just going to point to the patented solution, and I'll just talk a little bit about why I felt like this was a really unique thing to create. And not only from my own personal experience, I won't go too much into that, but a little bit of the science behind why this solution is a great solution. And so if you're a singer and you're like, I want to get better, I want to sing that song. Okay, sometimes you see the destination, but you're not clear on how to get there.
Mhm.
And that's really where I hope all singers that, I want to sing that song and my voice is not doing this, but I need it to, will reach out and find a coach. Because, the thing about your voice is it's here, and nobody's got boomerang eyeballs, and it's really hard. You can go to the doctor and they can put scopes down you, but you're really not going to walk around with a scope and watch yourself sing. You have to learn in such a different way to acquire these skills. And so really, ultimately, you need a trained coach because they can shortcut some of the problems that, not to say there are some very talented natural singers that never took a lesson in their life, and they just have that God-given ability. Then there's the other 97% of us that, don't have all that natural ability, but need a coach. And ultimately what you're paying for are the coach's ears. So with our solution, what we did was we made it so the coach could hear them. And we got HD quality video and audio, great audio and sound. And I'm not going to disparage Skype, FaceTime, Hangouts. There's a lot of other, audio video systems, but they weren't designed specifically for this. So we're giving you the highest audio quality that's possible. And we continue to push, and can't talk about some of the other things that are coming, but we continue to push that. Just know we got great sound. So you're paying for the ears of the coach. And then the coach's job is to give you exercises. So that's what our solution does. It's a keyboard app, if you will, that lets the coach listen to what you're doing and go, you know what? We need to take your voice down here. We need to have you sing some of these exercises so that we can build up this other part of your voice that might be weak or missing, or maybe it's not balanced correctly. And so some of that's called registration. And the majority of online beginning level singers need to have some period of time. I'm not going to say it's for years, but they got to have weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, a couple months, where they are singing some scales and they're singing some exercises, and they're doing this work because it's like nobody just signs up to run a marathon.
Mhm.
Now, if you sign up and you run a marathon and you never trained for it, I don't know how many people finish those. Those are usually the ones that wind up on the side. So you get hurt, you can have some injuries, you can have some problems. And I look at some people that have the ambition, desire to just go off and sing their favorite song on the radio, is they might not have the They might, one, not be the right song for their voice. They got to learn how to pick a song. They need a coach ultimately to hear what they're doing and say, I'm going to guide you. And so we like to refer to our instructors as guides. That is why we're calling our, our learning system path system, because a guide is there to listen to what you're doing, to take that input from you and then go, you know what, here's the best path for you. And so they do that through our vocal loop technology. They create those exercises with you in the lesson. And many of you that are singers are maybe wondering, well, why voice lessons again? So I'm gonna answer that again. Customized vocal exercises. If you go out there and you buy a video course or some course that's, here, watch these videos and do these exercises, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to say they don't work. They're going to work for a certain percentage of people. But for some people that already, it's not the right range. It doesn't start at the right pitch. I'm a tenor. I'm not a bass. You notice my voice today. It's higher up. I'm not talking down here, and same thing if there are exercises for a different gender, a higher voice, things like that, right? The exercises need to be ultimately customized to some degree. And that's really what we do. We pride ourselves in understanding the vocal instrument, understanding the pedagogy of training, to know and to have that ability to understand that a coach has to hear what the singer's doing. It's best to do that in real time, but if it can't be done in real time, there's some asynchronous things, and I can't give away some secrets, but there are some things that coach can do to generate some exercises for you and say, hey, try these, but it's best done live, real time, in the moment. And that's really where we started and what we plan on doing at the group level, because there's many people that want to learn to sing and they can go, hey, I'm gonna learn with my friends and we're all going to join and sign up for this group and learn to sing together type of thing. And please come on in, sign up when it's available. But get those exercises and then through that process go, hey, I need to ask my coach because that one exercise worked for me, but the other one didn't work for me. And it worked for my friend, but it didn't work for my other friend. Why is that? Well, guys, these are great questions to learn at the group level. The coach is going to probably explain some of this to you and say, well, your natural speaking voice is here. Their natural speaking voice is here. Their usage of their instruments different. And everybody learns to speak differently. We all know through child development that people learn to speak age 2 to 4, something around there. And they develop language. But it's important to note that speech, just like singing, is a superimposed function that humans developed through our cognitive abilities to be able to develop speech and language and then use it on top of our vocal apparatus. So it was not originally, the voice was not originally designed as the voice. We've come up with some creative ways. And through that process, there are so many ways, thousands of ways to use your voice. And you can use your voice in a healthy way, and you can use your voice in an unhealthy way. And without a coach, some people head down the wrong path. Again, paths. You want to go to a guide. You want a guide you can trust. You want to get some exercises. So when you leave a lesson on voicelessons.com, you get the exercises that were just made for you. So the coach hears you. They says, okay, I'm going to have you do this exercise. Let's go down here. I'm going to have you go up here and do this one. Now, if you do that exercise 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, it's like going to the gym. It's like going to your trainer. And I want to compare it to being a vocal, athlete. Okay. There's some athletics in this because you're training muscles, and now you're not training big muscles. You're training itty bitty tiny muscles. And you got muscles that go up here, muscles that goes down there. And ultimately coaches can help you do that. You can certainly go to the gym by yourself, but if you aspire, to get that beach body faster, you want to sing at your wedding, you got, there's a lot of different reasons people get inspired to sing, or you just want to sing for fun. You want to be the best singer you can. A coach is going to get you there, and getting custom exercises made for your voice that are different each week because your voice changes all the time is the fastest and best way to make vocal progress. So that's what we created. And we're super excited. It's been working for one-on-one lessons. And again, I kind of gave you the roadmap of where we're at, but we're now taking that, expanding that to get it to more people and to take it to a group level.
Awesome. We do have a little less than 10 minutes, and we do have, I think we have 4 questions to go
Okay,
through.
I'll give you a more succinct answer. Sorry, everyone. You know,
No
they
worries,
ask
no
me
worries.
questions sometimes. I can talk on
Uh,
these points for a while. So
do you want to talk a little bit more about the crowdfunding campaign? Why go the crowdfunding route and not through a standard VC?
that is a good question. It's come up a couple times. And again, without talking too much about projections, okay, and without wanting to sound full of myself, because I'll just be honest with you. I started off, I've worked 2 jobs. I know what it's like to flip burgers at McDonald's for $5.15. I did not come from money. I'm a self-made millionaire. I work hard. And so as I went through my own voice training, I said, I really want to give something back to the community, to singers, for the love of singing, because the music industry is controlled by the record labels. The record labels are controlled by money, and they pick their favorites, and there's only so many winners. And I love it when somebody breaks through the record label crowd, but the same thing happens in startups. You got the venture capitalists, they're controlling the money. Okay, and they got the investors and the angels and the accredited investors, and they got over $1 million. And there's a certain level of it's a system. Okay. And myself, I've always been a person that's, while I wanted to be at that level, I love helping people. I love serving people. And so I've talked to some venture capitalists, and they come back and say, you know what, show us that this model can do, and I don't know if I can say this, X number of dollars. Okay. But they come out and they say, show us it's going to do this. And it's like, guys, these are singing lessons. If you look at the market of voice education, it's a certain percentage is higher education, and higher education is another system, and it's got its own things. Anybody that's a voice teacher at a university or school will understand that it's got its own thing. And this is why there's a gap in the market. Okay, because there's a certain system that teaches a certain level, right? And then there's this consumer pocket that is not really serviced. And so while I aspire and believe we could be a unicorn and worth billions of dollars, right? I'm not going to put that down on paper. Okay. I am going to tell you I'm ambitious and I have drive, and I love to scale and grow companies, and I've done it before, and I know where we're at, and what we're doing with this one is the right stuff and the right steps. But the venture capitalists have a number. And I said, you know what? That's going to put undue pressure. And what if they come in one day and say, you got to do this. You got to change this, Mike, and it's like, no, I care about singers. I care about singers being trained correctly and in healthy ways. And sometimes that can be profitable, but maybe it's not the most profitable. And certainly I think if you've listened to today, you'll understand that we are pivoting the business to grow faster and bigger, but we're not greedy capitalists, and we don't necessarily want to be driven by that system. So crowdfunding to me gave me the ability to remain in control, to drive the company at the pace and the level. And one of the most important things, and we're not exiting today, but I always said, I would want to have this company be owned by voice teachers, okay, by singers, by people that really care, that are passionate about it like me. And crowdfunding gave me the opportunity to bring on investors that share that same love and passion and desire to have healthy voice training. And so I'm not stating here, for the record, there's a lot of methods out there. I don't necessarily ascribe and say that everyone has to learn to sing the same way or the same style, because everyone's tastes are very individual. I will say, I do believe you need to do voice exercises. If you think you can just sing, open your mouth and hope it's going to work, that you can get away with that for years. Some cases, some people get away with it their entire life, but maybe sometimes their career ends prematurely. But that said, I really wanted to keep pure to the goal of the idea. I wanted to remain a certain level of control, and I wanted to invite teachers. So not every voice teacher is going to invest in this company. And some teachers that have the means and the wherewithal to do that will understand what we are doing. and see like, well, we're really about the mission of the company to help singers, to help grow voice teachers, and not to necessarily be driven solely by profits. That said, we do want to make profits. We do want to grow the business. Um, but sometimes the venture capitalists push a little too hard. So this was more about a control thing and inviting the voice teacher market, the ones that especially the ones that have tried our platform, that believe in the platform, to be able to contribute and invest. And so we believe that as we continue to spread the message and the mission to singers, that they'll also go, hey, this is great. I can invest, I can put some money in, and I can learn to sing along the way. Sign me up. So if that's you, this is my soft pitch. Please invest, and put some money in. But ultimately, I hope that answers the question.
Yep. And with a couple minutes left, I do, want to ask, what, to wrap up the whole thing, what are the top 5 reasons someone should invest in voicelessons.com?
That's great. Okay. First, okay, if you're going to invest, you need to love singing. Okay. It's like, you need to at least have a family member that likes to sing. You have to want to be a singer. You have to already be a singer. You have to just love singing, or you have to admire, like, have that playlist of, man, I love Frank Sinatra. I love this singer. Like that voice, like, that's amazing, right? And there's so many singers to admire and love, but please love singing. That's what we do, and we want you to align to that value. Okay. Number 2, please understand that this is my second startup. I was lucky, at the right age and the right time to get one successful startup. And, that company was a small company. We were bootstrapped as well. We had that company, we had 38 private small investors. And so, again, I'm not chasing the big money per se, because we like to keep this thing very special, right? And so please invest if you love singing. Please invest if you can go look at ProSites. It's still running. We had a successful exit, and I won't talk about the returns because I'm not allowed to, but know that those investors were very happy with the money they invested and got a good return. And so you're investing in me and what I'm doing. And hopefully as you see this and you ask some questions, I'm happy to tell you. I try to be an open book, but also know that there's competitors and clones and a whole bunch of other people that are watching what we're doing. So I can't tell you everything. I have to have some secrets. But number 3, okay, look at where we are in the market. This is version 3. We're on year 6. You can see the upward trend of the revenues. You can see the things that we've done to make money, to get traction. You can see we've got a national partnership with the NATS, the largest association of voice teachers, right? Which is going to help us expand tremendously. And so know that we've got that. We've also got 3 patents with a 4th one pending. So know that we're very serious about our technology and our approach, to the point that we spend, I don't know, 50,000 or how much money on the patents, but we got a lot of money invested in protecting in the patented idea. And then number 5, okay, we got new stuff coming. So we're not trying to raise money on what we did yesterday. We invite you to please watch this campaign, watch what we're doing, watch what's going to happen in the next 45, how many days we got left? I don't worry, the countdown clock is coming, but I think we are going to extend it. I think we qualify for that. But please watch this campaign, watch where we're going, watch what we're doing. We do what we say we're going to do. And if things aren't happening as fast, well, I bootstrapped this company, and we're not like the musician and the Smule. We don't have that 32 million, but that doesn't mean that with the right strategic investor that understands where we are and what we're doing and says, hey, I'm going to put in some money because I know where you guys are going. I see what you're doing. Okay. I'm not saying we won't take venture capital, but I want to say first, I wanted to give the opportunity to the music, to the singers, to the voice teachers, because I love it that much. And I know that those that do will understand where we're coming from and what we're doing. And I want them to believe in that first and get in on the ground floor. I can't tell you how many raises and rounds I'm potentially prepared to do, but I will tell you, without talking about numbers, that we are prepared to raise multiple times. Okay. And we want to invite you to get in on the ground floor Okay, I think I can say minimum investment here of 252. You can get in now. This is the ground floor investment. We've never taken outside investment, and we are now. So if you think you're excited about what you're hearing today, please go ahead, jump on in. We'd love to have you on board. We're going to continue to do updates. We got a couple more webinars, right, Khalil, coming up?
2 more on the way.
Okay, do you want to tell them? Do we announce those dates now, or we'll tell them later? Stay tuned.
We'll tell them later.
Okay.
We'll have some content around it out shortly.
Okay, so in summary, you got to love singing. Okay, you got to believe in me and my story and what I've done, and go check my last company. It's still running. It's doing great. I think they got over 25 billion in that thing moving now. So number 3, okay, we got national partnership. Number 4, okay, we got multiple patents. Number 5, we're on version 3, and we continue to pivot, iterate, learn, and take what we're getting from the customers as feedback, and we take action on it. So I invite you to join our campaign. I invite you to invest today. And, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in live. And for those of you that watch the replay, drop your questions. I think we're going to do a couple more of these. So I'm excited to host these and do these with my good friends, Khalil and everyone else at the agency that's helping us with our campaign. And I just want to say thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone who attended. Like we mentioned, this webinar was being recorded, so be on the lookout for that recap video. And yeah, Mike, anything you want to send us off with?
I'm not going to sing for you guys today, but okay, if the song requests come in, maybe we'll drop a video. Just know I love singing. I've been a singer since I was a little kid. I love music. And it's not about me. This is not for me. This was my way to ultimately, I do feel like, my life mission. This was just my way to make sense of, okay, I love music and computers, and this is a great vehicle to do that. And I'm so happy with where we've gotten the company at this point. And I'm just excited to keep running the company, to keep moving things forward. We've got some exciting things. We're going to tell you about some of the investment that's already come in and what we've done with it. That'll be coming up. So, like I said, the proof is in the pudding. We do what we say we're going to do, and we lead by example.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your days.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.